I do like that.
It's so good.
I do like that.
Yeah. It doesn't sting you in the back of the throat as much. It's smooth. You get a good amount of flavor to it and a good taste. It's really a fun one. All right. Another episode, another day, another crazy week in the clinic. This week's question was, what was the best Robin Williams movie?
And there's so many of them.
There's not a bad movie. There's not a singular movie that man does wrong.
There really isn't.
I haven't seen very many, but all the good ones, it's like, each and every time I hear another movie come out, I'm like, wait, that's a Robin Williams movie too? Like, there's so many good ones.
Well, Mrs. Doubtfire's running away with it.
Yeah.
Multiple tallies on that board.
That's what everybody thinks of Robin Williams of, is Mrs. Doubtfire, all the voices that he does in it, and he's just so good at voices and can pretty much play anything.
But see, for me, it's Jumanji.
Good movie.
I love
good
Jumanji.
Movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
For me, it's Hook. Just because, like, I remember watching that when I was 3, 4, 5 years old, multiple times on the VHS, hitting the rewind button, playing it, hitting the rewind button.
Man, VHS.
I absolutely love Hook. And I mean, I don't think a lot of people realize and remember that he was a comedian before he went into acting. Yeah, like, he's got so many, like...
He did do stand-up?
Mm-hmm. He has a, like... I mean, I remember plain as day, like, watching him do, like, a Scottish stand-up where he's, like, talking about how they invented golf. And he's talking about just how, like, dumb it must have been to, like, invent golf, like, the sport. And he's like, did someone take, like a crane, like a bird, and then just, like, hit and was like, oh, there's a gopher hole. Like, I'm just going to hit this coconut in the gopher hole, like, whatever it was. And he just goes on, it's like it's so funny. It's that
question all the time, though. I always think about that. Like, who took the time? And it's not even activities, it's words. It's literally words. Who took the time to come up? Where did the word fuck come from? And who said that was a bad word? Right? Who said that was a bad word? Right? Let's talk about the word everybody hates. Moist.
Moist.
Where did moist come from, and why does that tickle so many people's ears?
It doesn't tickle mine. I think words are just words. I mean, I don't know. It's just the dictionary's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. When is it going to stop?
Oh, yeah.
At this point, every word that comes out of anybody's mouth is going to be a word.
Yeah. What's the word you can't say?
That I can't say?
That you, like, mess up every time?
Oh, well, I think, and to me, I say it right, but to everyone else, and it's oil.
Oil?
Oh.
Oil.
I don't say oil. No, it's not
oil.
wrong. Bull, oil, spool.
What?
Whatever it is, yeah.
It's like you have a golf ball in your mouth.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't say for. Like, we should do this for that. Instead of for, I say for.
Oh, okay. That was like you said for right that time. I don't understand that.
So normally you'd be like for this. Like, I'm gonna go for this. I'm gonna do this for that.
Okay. All right, for me, what do you put your bourbon on?
Coaster?
Yeah, I say coaster.
Coaster.
I don't know where the hell coaster. My wife caught me on it about 4 years ago, and I was like, "Hey, can you bring me a coaster?" And she's like, "What? If you say the fucking word right, I can bring it to you." And I was like, "What are you talking about? It's a coaster." And she was like, "Jordan, shut up! You're playing." And I'm like, what is the problem? Anyway, another episode of Sore Points Strong Drinks, SPSD. Hope you guys tuned in for the last episode. A lot of great talk on the insurance. A lot of confusing stuff in there, right? It's a long one.
Yeah.
A little drier. We tried our best to spice it up.
Right. But it's a sore point.
Yep.
And we got to talk about insurance. In fact, I just talked about it with a patient today. I mean, he, really wants to come multiple times, but then he's got some financial trouble, and we had to kind of lower it to once a week instead. And, we talked about, hey, did you look at the insurance? Did you look at kind of what to expect? And he didn't know what to expect. He's never been to physical therapy before. And so he was just a little taken aback. And with all the financial troubles, he just had to go down to once a week. Yeah. And we also found out he had a lot of limited visits. He only has 25 visits compared to a lot of other people who have 30, 90.
Yes, United Healthcare.
Yep.
Boom.
Yep. You betcha.
25 visits, United Healthcare. It's a pain in the ass.
How about it?
But then we have patients that are completely free and only want to come once a week. And I'm like, oh, you grind my gears.
Please take advantage of this.
Yes.
Please take advantage
Let's
of
please
this.
get better.
Anyway, today we are joined by our favorite Viking, Mammoth, Hulk, strength and conditioning coach.
Friend.
Yes.
Yes.
Long-time patient.
Yes.
Bryer Rogers.
Will continue to be a long-time patient for as long as I can, too.
And you know, I think the beauty of it is so Bryer, I'm gonna give a little insight here.
Yeah, a little intro.
Yeah, so when I started the clinic, it was like day one of starting Best Physical Therapy in the Fit for Life gym in Clayton. And you know, I put the table up, I'm sitting out there, I'm just trying to talk to as many people as I can, and Bryer comes over, is like, man, you know, I'm Bryer, this is that. I'm like, dude, just get on the table. Let's get on the table. Let's talk while we're treating. And he gets on the table. I'm like, walk me through what you got going on. So I'm feeling on his glutes, feeling on his back. And he's like, I've had back pain for like 15 years. Football, wrestling, poor conditioning in high schools, which is a topic he's very passionate about. You know, he is personal trainer, strength and conditioning coach, all of these things. And I said, okay, let's take a jab at it. You know, we needled his multifidi. We worked through his muscles and stuff. Stands up from the table. Dude, my back pain's gone. And that was a trip for you. That was like,
it was, I mean, I was 18 years old. I took a nap before the last game of my freshman college season of football. On my stomach, I mean, 25, 30. I mean, it couldn't have been longer than 45 minutes. And woke up with just like the worst back pain. And I don't even know if I can consider it, like, I don't even know if I could use the word worst. Like, it literally limited me to a point where I could only play half of a game. And every time I like even tried to kick set or run block or whatever it was, it crippled. It quite literally crippled me down. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was told by, like, I was very vocal to you about it whenever we very first started. I was very like nitpicky about not only PTs but chiros, MDs, like doctors in general, because of the past experiences I've had with them. I've seen 4 and 5 physical therapists. Oh, it's your SI joint. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. Oh, it's that. And I'm like, okay, well, if it's bone, like, I can't really do anything necessarily about bone. And then I tell you the exact same, like, I know how cookie cutter PTs can be, you know what I mean? And I was just very, not necessarily hesitant, but almost like distrusting of it, because I hadn't had such a good experience with physical therapists before. And I mean, just like you said, he needled the multifidi. I think he hit maybe 1 or 2 of the lower erectors, hit the glute medius, and that one right there, when you hit that, it went straight down and over, and then I stood up and never had that pain ever again. Now, I might get some tightnesses, and that's just from working out and just exercising in general, but the pain level is pretty much completely gone.
Yeah. So, well, and I think, that's going to be a big topic of our episode today, right? Is all of the, what is physical therapy? What should it look like? Because time and time again, we get so many patients in the clinic that I've been to physical therapy for 30 years. Why are you guys so different? How do you guys do what you do? And why is it so different than anybody I've ever been to before? And then that same age-old question of, so what's the difference between this and personal training? Mm-hmm. What's the difference between this and strength and conditioning? I thought about bringing on the chiropractor type monologue in this, but I feel like to really validate that, we need to have a chiropractor here. Yeah, I don't want to shun an entire profession, correct, without them being able to defend themselves in their professional. Right. So, but today's really going to be that. It's going to be physical therapy, personal training, and I think that it's going to be a really good episode. I think it's going to be a good idea for people to finally say, hey, that's what physical therapy should be. So, before we top into that, so today's drink is Angel's Envy. This is, by and large, I feel like I say this every episode. People are going to start not believing me. But, like, Angel's Envy is one of my, top 5 go-tos. Like, if top 3, honestly, you ask me what bourbon I want, it's going to be Woodford or Angel's Envy. Those are going to be, the 2 that I'm going to go for.
Not a bad one to pick.
It's a classic.
It's not a bad one.
It's stable. It's good. I can drink it all times of the day. I'm not getting too much hit, but I'm not getting, I'm still getting good flavor. Right. Angel's Envy to me is the same way. I can sit here and I can sip on this all night. I can have 2 or 3 of these and feel pretty damn good and enjoy myself in the experience.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think that's important. With this one, I get a little bit, for me personally, I do feel like I taste a little bit of the barrel. I get a little bit of that caramel scent right off the top of it, and I do feel like I taste the barrel a little bit more.
It's more smooth than Woodford. Woodford's not my go-to.
We're not going to play the comparison game. Hold on.
Woodford's not my go-to. I drink it, and it's really good, but this one's different because it's smoother. I do get a little bit of barrel flavor, a little bit more taste, a little more strong. Just more strong taste than Woodford, to be honest.
I think the good thing about this one, too, is it's not muddied. So, some bourbons, you smell it, and all you smell is alcohol. This one, I get that
It has
caramel,
actual
right?
scent.
Notes.
It has
Yeah.
actual scent to
Right.
it.
And the flavor's the same thing. I'm not muddled by all these different flavors and
Yep.
things. It's just a very straightforward flavor.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of Angel's Envy. And then again, it's not an expensive bottle, right? You know, on the high end, you're talking maybe $80. On the low end, you're talking, if it's on sale, maybe somewhere between $50 and $60. So yeah, to me, under $100, not a bad bottle, bro.
Yeah.
We should start rating these bourbons. I just thought about that.
Do it right now. Start now. 1 to 10.
1 to 10.
1 to
Wait,
10.
wait. What's a 10?
Okay. 10's like...
Can we do 1 to 5? 1 to 5
Alright,
feels
1
good.
to 5.
1 to 5.
Why 1 to 5?
I don't know. 5
Three's
feels like
right in the middle.
Yeah.
4's like agree. 5's like strongly agree.
1 to 10's a lot of ambiguity.
That's why you don't like the paint scale.
I hate the scale. I hate the damn
What's
paint
the
scale.
pain level scale? 1 to 10.
Because paint's a personal experience. Yeah. Your pain is the same as my pain,
Exactly.
right?
So,
yeah.
So 5 I would drink every day.
There you
Well,
go.
okay, not every day.
Let's do 5
Responsibly.
responsibly.
Yes.
3 to 4 times a week. Sip. 4 being like maybe once or twice. 3's like once a week. 2 is like if I got
It's the only thing left on the cabinet.
like
1 is well whiskey.
yeah.
Well,
as well.
Yeah. 0 is like I would never drink.
I would never touch it ever.
0.
There are 0. I mean, well, whiskey's.
To me, well whiskey is the bottom of the barrel.
I mean,
Pun intended.
I'm trying to think of one like Jim Beam, just straight Jim Beam, like Jim Beam vanilla, amazing. That's like a 3, but straight Jim Beam to me, more the 1, almost 0.
Jim Beam vanilla is a 3.
Oh,
I like Jim.
And straight Jim Beam is a 1.
I like Jim Beam vanilla. Yeah.
I'm definitely
Like
going
the flavored,
Wow.
the flavored whiskey.
because again, for me, especially like in my degenerate days, like even when I would get whiskey, obviously as a poor college student, you're not buying, so like my whiskey, if you want to, I put heavy quotes, if you want to call it, was Southern Comfort. I used to love getting 100 proof Southern Comfort, and I would either get like some really watered down sweet tea or some Diet Mountain Dew, and do like either 3/4 sweet tea, 3/4 Mountain Dew, and then some Southern Comfort in there. And the thing about Southern Comfort, I don't know if either of you ever had Southern Comfort.
Yeah.
It is very syrupy.
Yes.
To a certain point.
Mhm.
So I would you got to put it in the freezer. You got to get it cold, because if not, you're drinking maple syrup.
Yeah.
It's just got the biggest
Viscous.
burn.
This
Yeah, the viscosity.
What was the one? It wasn't Old Raleigh. It was the one after that.
Yeah.
Penelope?
Was it Penelope? I think it was
I think it was Penelope. Yeah, I thought Penelope was very viscous, and
He said it
Jordan
was
like,
viscous, and I was like, yeah, it is kind of thin. And he's like, no, it's not what I mean. Hold on.
But no, Jim Beam vanilla with a little Coke, change your life.
That's not bad.
Really.
I can't. Four Roses. I don't hate on Four Roses. I can't. It's not. I wouldn't pick it for number 5. Number 5 for me, it would literally just be straight Makers. I love.
Yeah.
See, Makers is a 3 for me.
I love Makers.
A lot of people love Makers. It's a 3 for me. Jack Fire, that's a 1.
I can agree.
Jack Fire is like, you talk about
Yeah.
degenerate days, that's Jack
I
Fire.
feel like the older I get, and the more that like I actually like try like good whiskey and good bourbon, the more that I realize, hot take, that Jack is not good.
It's not.
No, Jack Daniels is not good. It's not. The best Jack I've ever had was Tennessee Honey, like one of the newer like flavors they have, and it still tastes like dog water.
Yeah.
It's still not good. It's still not good.
You gotta drink Coke with it. There's a reason why there's a Jack and Coke.
Jack
But that's like a lot of different alcohols, right?
Yeah.
And we've been mostly drinking bourbon, but you look at, vodka. When I was in college, UV Blue was the shit, man.
UV
Blue
Oh, God.
was the jam.
Oh,
freshman
Jaeger was the bomb, right? I used to love a Jaeger bomb.
Play on words there.
Yeah. I used to love a Jaeger bomb, right? You look at all these alcohols you used to drink. I mean, shit, Crown Royal was my ish back in the day. Now,
It's still good.
and it's great, but I look at this and I'm like, wow, I was not making the right decision back then.
Of course not. It's like, when you're a novice drinker, it's like you start at whatever's available, whatever's cheap, and then you just build up from there. And this is where we ended. Thankfully.
I'm going through just so many bad decisions.
Oh,
Just so many bad alcohol choices. You got Bush Ice.
yeah.
Like,
See, I'm not a beer drinker, so I didn't get into this.
Bush Ice is good.
You guys did Bush Ice and Natty Lights, and I don't drink beer.
Busch.
This is gonna piss some people off. I don't drink beer. I don't
That's
like
fair.
it.
That's fair.
It just,
who's their own.
I just don't know how you can tolerate the taste. And here, I'm gonna get on a little bit of a soapbox. I've done this before, and then we're gonna get back to the actual why we're here. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for me to go, especially in today's economy, to go to a bar and spend $8-9 on a beer and spend an extra $4 on a cocktail. Hold on, because I know you have an opinion on this.
I have thoughts.
An extra $4 on a cocktail. That cocktail's got more flavor. That cocktail's got more alcohol.
Mhm.
And guess what? I'm going to have a damn much better time on that cocktail than I am on that $8 beer with 15 to 20% alcohol content.
Right. Mhm. See, here's where I'm at. A good craft beer for $7-8. Darn good.
And maybe that'd be
I
the
would
case
say
if
that.
they didn't all taste the exact same.
They-
Do they?
They all taste the same.
They don't.
And if I smell a beer before I like drink it, I won't even touch it.
You won't touch it.
I won't touch it.
Yeah.
I will not touch it. I don't know what it is, guys. I don't know. Anyway, so Bryer, you talked about your degenerative phase. And I don't want to spend too long on it, but I do want to touch in because I think it really gives a good perspective on who you are. So you've got your own channel.
Correct.
You talk a lot about your history. You have your own online programs,
Correct.
curriculums. So I'd love for you to get into that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So for everyone who might not know me, so I was addicted to cocaine and alcohol and food and tobacco for quite some time. The alcohol and the cocaine didn't really start until I left the first school I was at in university when I was playing, because I was very much committed to playing. And then I kind of left a smaller school and went to a huge school that had obviously the normal college life, drugs, alcohol, that whole thing. Ended up getting to about 360 pounds, just extremely out of shape, unhealthy, mental, like I had a lot of mental health problems, almost committed suicide in 2018. Made some really, me too, made some really not great choices and disappointed some people who were very close to me, and it just kind of weighed a little heavy on me. And then, almost did it again. Really, really happy that I didn't do it. Ended up losing my dad in 2021. That kind of gave me another outlook on life, but still didn't really do anything about it until about a year and a half later, when I kind of hit that breaking point of just losing, like almost to it, like just a mental break to a certain point. Remember just looking at myself in the mirror and just being like, you're better than this. You deserve better than this. You don't want to have the same thing that happened to your dad to happen to you. So I kind of just had to, kick myself in the ass a little bit and just get started and pick back up where I was 5, 6, 7 years prior. So, I definitely do think I've found my purpose, not only with training people, but help coaching people to understand that what their lifestyle can be and what it should be compared to what it is now. So again, I lived all those problems that people are going through, whether it be obesity or drug addiction, alcohol addiction, food. Like I literally was doing a drug that increased your thermogenic effect and was still morbidly obese on it because I was so
Thermogenic effect. Go into detail on thermogenic.
So basically, cocaine can raise your body temperature and increase your metabolism a little bit, which that's why most people who are cokeheads are extremely thin. However, in my case, my mind was so used to eating, I don't know, 5,000 to 7,000 calories a day, playing offensive line in football where you had to be of a larger stature, that whenever I stopped, and this drug also makes you not want to eat, kind of like Adderall, because I believe it is along the lines of like an amphetamine, right? Mm-hmm. So even though my brain or my body was like, I'm not hungry, my mind was just like, eat. Like you're hungry, like continue to eat. And then I got to the point of being a drug addict that weighed 352 pounds. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this isn't it. So, luckily I'm still here about almost 3 years down the line from September 2022. I've lost in total 120 pounds. I got from 352 to 230.
That part's important.
That's huge.
That part's important, right? Because I see, and this goes into what we're talking about today, but I see a lot of personal trainers and strength and conditioning coaches on social media. And you see them, and they're always jacked. They're always ripped. They're always, hefty, toned, yada, yada, so on and so forth. And every time without fail, I look at them and I'm like, yeah, but have you always been that way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have you always been there? And what I think is important about your story is that you haven't. Mm-hmm. You've seen the other side of the barrel. Mm-hmm. You know what that looks like, right? You went down the booger sugar pathway. And by the way, that's what it's called.
Booger sugar.
Booger sugar.
I got a whole
booger sugar, right?
I got a whole.
I knew you would never heard it. I could see the look in your eyes. I knew it. I said booger sugar, the kid's eyes went, what?
No.
But, you went there, right? And then you came back from it. And I think that that's what's important. So anytime I'm making an introduction from a patient of mine to you, I like to tell them that story. I like to show them pictures. I'm like, this was Bryer. Yes, now he's a Viking, a Hulk, a mammoth, but this was him, right? And that really gives people insight because they can see, oh, so this man understands where I am now, and he understands the journey I need to go on. And to me, that's important. And the name of your...
It's Iron Anvil Performance.
Okay, and we'll link that in the description below.
The biggest thing for me, especially coming from that very obese and overweight and just all around unhealthy side, is people talk about the mental challenges when it comes to weight loss, right? And it's not necessarily just like, the dysmorphia that comes with it. A lot of people, me included, feel like there is no way out.
Correct.
And they don't, not even necessarily don't even know where to start. They don't even know how to think along the lines of, oh, I can be better. Because they spent 10, 20, 30 years being that weight that they, in their head, this is just how my life is. They're stagnant. They become so I don't even want to call it content. It's just a built-in contentment that they just have because it's just how it is. I went to Nashville for my birthday last year, and again, Nashville's got banging food.
Yeah.
So good. But it's terrible.
Yeah.
Fried, greasy, salty.
Some Nashville hot chicken could always hit the spot.
We'll talk about it. But I remember going there and eating, and I wouldn't even say, Greek food, gyros. We went to a nice steakhouse out there, and not even eating terrible, terrible food. 2 days later, my hands are swollen. And I looked down and I was like, this is how I lived for 10, 15 years and had no idea that this is what I felt like because that's just what life was. And even from a young age, and again, I've told my mom this, I'm not bashing my family, but we've always been big. The Rogers and the Parrish side, we've always been bigger individuals. And growing up, my mom always made extra for me because I'm always been way bigger than every other kid. So, I was always taught, don't leave anything on your plate. Go eat seconds. That's perfectly fine. It's a generational thing. If you don't understand that, hey, this is not a healthy way to live, you can't break it. I literally had a conversation with a guy on the phone the other day, and I asked him, I said, if you don't change in 10 years, what does that look like? Not for you, but for your son that you have. He said, well, I'm probably going to be well over 400 pounds. And, I said, now he's going to see you that way. And he's going to say, in his mind, it's okay to be that. It's okay to eat this way. It's okay to not take care of my health. It's okay to do this. It's okay to do that. And then it carries on. He gets older. He has a kid, daughter, son, whatever it is. And then they see the same thing. And then it just stacks. It's
a reflection to where we are in society right now. It's just, 70 to 80% of people in America are obese. And it's possibly because their families did it, and then their families after that did it, and then there's obviously bad food.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Safety come out, I think, with their statistics about a month ago about where the state is in obesity. 73% of the state is considered morbidly obese, and 14% of them have diabetes.
Now, to be fair, fair, I will, because I want to play devil's advocate. I want to see the opposite side of the coin, right? How do we judge obesity? BMI.
Yeah.
Yes.
The BMI is tragic.
It's outdated. Yeah. It's outdated. It does provide a somewhat sense of a person's health sense.
Give you an idea. But I bet you Breyer's BMI, if you just went strict BMI, would say you're morbidly obese.
I'm morbidly obese on the BMI. LeBron James is morbidly obese.
Yes.
You're going to look at me and tell me that LeBron James is obese.
No.
Because he is 6'8", 270.
And you know what's crazy? And this really, again, reflects into what we're talking about. We had a patient, Mr. Stone, right, who wanted to get a knee replacement.
Yep.
And he used to be Olympic weightlifting, he used to do shows. He's a ton of muscle. Yes, he's got some weight on him.
Right.
Ton of muscle. Went to his first doctor. His first doctor was like, I'm not going to do it. Your BMI is over 32. He's like, Doc, it's mostly muscle. And he's like, I don't care. I'm not doing it. Your BMI is over 32. And it's just so frustrating because obviously he's upset, right? It's muscle.
He's in pain.
Yeah.
He's in physical pain.
Can't walk.
Yes.
And you're telling him no because he's mostly muscle and you're going off of an outdated...
To play devil's advocate on that.
Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah.
They see so many patients with these total knee replacements that are way more unhealthy than he is. Way less background. And so when they look at that BMI, it's very biased to say, okay, that patient's not appropriate.
But it's not,
it's not,
they're
it's
not
very
the
outdated.
number, right?
We
because
need to figure it out.
That dials into just looking at people as a number, right?
Yeah, and yes, on top of that, if they would just, okay, your BMI says this, but if they just get educated and say, okay, yes, your BMI might say this, but what does like an actual body scan say?
You're a doctor's office. Get an in-body.
Go get an in-body. Go get like if you have decent insurance or whatever, go get a DEXA scan.
Yeah.
Go get something done that actually shows your bone density, your skeletal muscle mass, your visceral fat, and everything else, so they can determine, okay, you are actually healthy enough for us to do this, not because this random scale that was created whenever the hell that thing was created, and being like, this is the standard that we sit at. That's why anytime I see a client online, in person, I tell them, hey, this BMI number, don't look at it. I care more about your body fat and how you look, how you move, your energy, your sleep, your recovery, more than I care about that stupid. Yes. Yeah. Because just because that number says that morbidly obese, and they see like, oh, I'm fat. It's like, okay, well, it also says that I'm morbidly obese.
Correct. So, well, and an in-body and a DEXA scan, for those people who don't know, helps you look at skeletal mass, muscle mass, fat mass, what's your percentage of lean versus non-lean, what's your water percentage and stuff like that. And to something you and I touched on, a lot of insurances, you get to go see a registered dietitian for free. They should do an in-body. And that really, to me, needs to be the shift that we need to make in the healthcare system, because we need to stop looking at patients as BMI or number. And that look at the number, right? And I think what we need to do is jump off of that to dive into this episode. Is what's a little bit wrong with our healthcare system. And it's twofold, right? Practitioners, I do feel like, genuinely come out of whatever schooling program they're in with I'm going to help people attitude.
That's across the board.
For sure. And it takes probably less than a year for them to get jaded by the healthcare system. Yes. To get absolutely burnt out, smoked, thrown into the weeds and the fire, because there are patients that just choose to shit on the healthcare field. And insurance is terrible, and the demands and the time and the work-life balance is awful. So then that forces them to kind of shut down that empathy and that affect that they have for individuals, which then stinks, because then we become just a number, cookie cutter, same old, 5 minutes with your patient. Why do I need to spend an hour with my patient? I only need to spend 5 to 10 minutes and I can move on, right?
And then they don't get better.
Correct.
And then they're stuck again. And then you see these patients that all they do is go to doctor's appointments.
And then that patient becomes the same patient that pissed off that doctor in the first place. It's a cycle. It is the endless loop of healthcare madness. Exactly. And we just sit there in it over and over again because we can't make a change. Why? Because too many people are getting rich off of it. And that's a different conversation for a different day. Yeah. But so let's get into this. So I think the main goal in here, and kind of what I want to do today, is I want to go through what is physical therapy. We've come on here, we've talked a little bit, but what is it? And then what is strength and conditioning and personal training? And how do those two differ? How do they help each other? How do they coexist? And how can we build that environment that better helps patients in that regard? Right. So, we can go into the weeds of this. Yeah. Right? We can get deep down, and even in our show notes, we talk about, when physical therapy got established and different boards. And again, I think we could really get into the weeds there, but I want to simplify it down because I want to make sure that we really get to some hard-hitting stuff. Right. We have our doctorate degree. Correct. Almost every PT nowadays has their doctorate degree. Right. Hand over foot. It used to be a bachelor's, moved to a master's, moved to a doctorate. We have our doctorate degree as a 3-year program, fall, spring, and summer of almost every year. You come out of school as what we consider a general practitioner. As with any job, any profession, anything, yes, you learn a lot in school, but a lot of it is learning right then and there and in the moment. And you are not given time in most places to acclimate to what physical therapy is. Yep. You are dropped into a job, and they say, okay, we're going to give you like 1 to 3 evals today. And I hope you learned our documentation system in that 2-hour tutorial that I sent you that you had to sit at home and do, because this is our world. And, I think that's difficult because like my first job, my very first eval was a TMJ patient. And I was like, and the documentation system that we used, there was no, like there were outlines for everything for every other part of the body, there was not an outline for TMJ. It was all freehand. And so I'm sitting there just freehanding everything on my very first eval, my very first day from this job. Only practitioner there. Everybody else left for the day because I was staying late. And I was like, I had no idea. And thank God there was one other physical therapist there, and she took time out of her day to help me through the documentation and stuff. But you don't get that. And so then what ends up happening? You have corporate bosses bring down your neck, hey, we need you to, see 2 to 3 patients at a time. We need you to bill at least 4 to 5 units, which, to help you understand, Bryer, the way we bill is you've got manual therapy, therapeutic activity, therapeutic exercise, neuro re-education.
Okay.
And those are all basically the units that we can bill. And traditionally, every allotted amount of time is 1 unit.
Okay.
And so if you do X amount of time, you could get 1, 2, 3 to 4 to 5 units. Okay. Where Best really shines is we only do 1 unit in each spot. Okay. But where some companies will do is they'll be like, oh, well, we need to make a profit, so you need to see 6 to 7 to 8 units in a 45-minute span. But you get all these demands placed on you. And then you're stuck because you don't know what you're not supposed to know. Mm-hmm. You are told in PT school what good healthcare, good practitioners look like. But then your job that you need to pay off that student loan debt that you have is like, I need you to do this, 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 and this. And guess who that hurts?
The patient. And you.
Yeah. And the patient, they get burnt out.
Absolutely. I was burnt out in 6 months within my first eval. Mm-hmm. And, to kind of back up a little bit. So I think it is important to kind of highlight a little bit of history to kind of get to where we are now. So we started off.
I love history.
I do. I love history. I think it's important because history, we got to learn from history, right?
It's fair.
So just a very general little synopsis, PT's been around for over 100 years, 120 years. I was trying to do a little research to kind of bring this into perspective here. And, it just kind of started out as we need to kind of, all these people who were in the Civil War, stuff like that, they needed help walking, stuff like that. So, nurses, other people started helping them with that. Transition into World War I, World War II, it just branched out to where there's so many veterans, so many people needing help that, there became a whole branch of it. And the American Physical Therapy Association started in 1921. That was their first time. So since then, kind of fast forwarding to where we are now, we've gone from, no degree, just kind of volunteers helping out, to a bachelor's, to a master's, and then to a doctorate. And at the same time, the healthcare system has gotten more and more profitable, and reimbursement has gotten less and less. And so
reimbursement meaning how much we get paid.
Exactly.
Or how much effort and work we put in.
Exactly. So early 2000s, people just had a bachelor's degree and they were doing a lot more with patients and not really worrying about productivity so much, versus 25 years later, most PT clinics are seeing 3 to 4 patients at a time, burnt out beyond belief, and now we're not treating patients as well as we should.
But I think that's really interesting what you said. You said that people started out, and I'll give you credit. I guess this is important.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, history is so important to learn from. If we do not learn from it, we repeat the same exact mistakes. It's like the same thing in the clinic. It's like, we're not perfect clinicians. I will be the first to admit that. I'm not perfect, but I've learned. Everybody makes mistakes, whether it's minor, major, whatever. But you learn the best from those mistakes, right. And so we learned. World War II history. I love. We learned from World War II. We learned from, just simple stuff in the clinic. We learned from, high school, to not crash your car, to drink and drive, and all these other things.
We learn not to get addicted to booger sugar.
Whatever that means. So it's important to learn from that.
Well, but again, to your point, what I was going to say is, I've had people ask me what I do I've had family members ask me, what do you do as a physical therapist? Mm-hmm. You just get people up in parallel bars and help them walk, right? That's all you do.
Yeah.
Right? And again, to Brier's credit, he had been to so many PTs before, and they didn't do a lick a bit of what we did. There's still days, not now because I've seen him for so long, but there's still days where Bryer comes in the clinic, he's like, wait, you can do that? Mm-hmm. Wait, you do that? Mm-hmm. Y'all see that? Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, absolutely, we do. And that image that you just portrayed of war times in the hospital, bandaged up, walking the parallel bars, is what a lot of people think about physical therapy. Because we, and arguably the personal training side, did this too. Mm-hmm. We didn't do a good job of marketing what we did and who we were.
Yes.
Chiropractors did a phenomenal fucking job. Right. You ask somebody what they do at a chiropractor, they'll tell you exactly what they do. Mm-hmm. We did a terrible fucking job, right? There aren't videos out there of a PT treating, but there's about 8,000 videos of a chiropractor out there with a fake skeleton nipping people and ripping them up and doing all this stuff. And we just did a terrible job. And that is why so many people come into our clinic and they're like, why are you putting your hands on me? Wait, you mean I get to spend my entire time with you? Yep. What do you mean you're doing dry needling and cupping? What is that? Right? And people go to Bryer and wait, so what are you doing? You're not just going to give me exercises and let me go off on my own? What? You're going to cue me? You're going to sit here and watch me and help me with weight and progression and load? You actually know what you're talking about? You're not just some dropout with not a bachelor's degree? Yeah. Like, there's so much misinformation out there and people just don't know. Right. And as you can see, I'm literally off my seat because it pisses me off because what are you doing? You have your doctorate degree. You have a professional career. Mm-hmm. So many people that we talk to in the gym, what do you want to do? I want to open up my own gym one day and have a big personal training thing. They don't know a goddamn thing about anatomy.
No, of course not.
How are you supposed to do that?
Yeah, no, not quite.
Which is why I appreciate Bryer so much in so many ways. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, listen, this is my wife. She's going to one person. This is my mom. She's going to one person. Right? Send her right to Bryer.
So that's a good point here. So there are good therapists. There's bad therapists. We've all, we met them. We know them. Everybody has their different philosophy of physical therapy and personal training, strength training, all of that. What's the good ones, right? How do we know there's a good physical therapist location? How do we know that this physical therapist is good?
I think Bryer should answer that.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. And again, just like we talked about earlier, I'm very nitpicky, not only about like chiros or PTs, but any type of profession. If you're cookie cutter, and perfect example, when I was at not Fairfield, when I was at a different gym, we had a 10-year-old who I started rehabbing after his not first but second ACL tear. Okay, 10 years old, soccer player, and he went to a cookie cutter PT clinic. One of the corporate ones that's everywhere. I can't remember the name of it. Even if I did, I would still say it because you deserve that. But he come in and he had, I think it's like 6 months, 7 months post-op, had the worst everything I have ever seen for 6-7 months post-op. This kid could not squat without that injured knee. I mean, it had to be a damn near 45-degree angle with valgus every time he would squat. So I got the PT's number and I was like, hey, like, what have you been doing with him? Have you been doing any type of strengthening exercises, anything? He was like, yeah, we put a band around him, had to do like clamshells, and he's done like some single leg balancing stuff. I'm like, have you had him grab weight? Have you had him, can he run? Can he jog? Well, we haven't really got to jogging yet. Dude, it's 7 months post-op, and you haven't even got him 20% running yet. This kid didn't even have full extension at 7 months post-op. And I'm sitting like, and I asked his dad, I said, hey, what did you get? Did you get like any forms? And he's like, yeah, he gave us like some papers with exercises on them. He like, he told us to do these and he should be good and this and that. And I'm like, so it's my job to do the PT's job now. And I'm not a PT. So I spent the next 3 to 4 months with this kid, making sure that he could return to play when he really wanted to return to play. And I told him, like, look, dude, you're behind. Like, you're 2-3 months behind where you should already be. I'm like, the fact that you're in 3 to 4 weeks, I've gotten you somewhat running and somewhat able to squat and to stop and to like just drop off of a 12-inch box is good. I was like, dude, you can't even kick a soccer ball yet. Yeah. Like you there's no way you're going through rapid knee extension right now. What is like, you're 10. Yeah. You're 10 years old and I hate to say it, but you've been done, and I wanted to say it to him and his dad, you've been done such a disservice by that healthcare professional that now you, hopefully not, but you could be at risk of having just scar tissue built up in your knee. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because they had to go in because he couldn't go through full extent. They had to go in and actually remove excess scar tissue. Correct. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is a 10-year-old kid who doesn't know any better. Obviously, his parents don't know any better. They're not in the field. Yeah. And you're just sitting here, not, I don't want to say ruining his life, but this kid was a phenomenal soccer star. And now you're holding him back from being where he could be because you don't want to actually do your job and spend the time with this kid and train him the way and treat him the way that he should be. So now you're going to push a half-assed job onto someone who it shouldn't be's job. And now he's got to take over. So if something happens, the blame goes on him when it should have been handled 3-4 months prior. So my biggest gripe when it comes to looking for a PT that you shouldn't go to is someone who does just that. I don't want to see someone cookie cutter, and that's what I tell anybody that I send to you guys. It doesn't matter if you get Jordan, if you get Kit, it doesn't matter. They're going to go in there. They're going to put hands on you. They're going to watch you. They're going to make sure you do it. How do you know that? Because they do it to me. Because when I'm in there, they make me do, like they watch me. Do this. Oh shit, I didn't think you saw that. Oh yeah, I saw it. Like it's just like how I am with my clients. I'm not going to sit there and watch 2 reps and then that's doing a disservice to them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
So
what I tell patients is, and this is, I'm going to piss a lot of people off here with this, but the truth of the matter is that if you look at most injuries, natural history of progression, if you just left it alone and let it do its own thing, a lot of injuries would get better on their own.
Yes.
And that is why a lot of PTs seem good at their job, because they don't actually do anything that's helpful, but it gets better on its own. And all of a sudden, that patient who has no idea about that is singing their praises.
Yep.
Here comes 4 or 5 other people. Here comes this person. Oh, well, they're singing their praises because it got better on its own. What PT does in a lot of cases is we take that timeline and we shorten it and we get it better faster. And yes, you still have to go with the research. Muscle takes 6 to 8 weeks to build, right? Tendinous injuries can take anywhere from 4 to 9 months, right? So you're still following the history of timeline, but in a lot of cases, we can make that faster. We can make it quicker, and we can make you better at the end. But just getting your pain to go away is subpar.
yes,
That is not good treatment. Coming in, treating the symptoms, and just getting your pain to go away is false. You have to treat the root of the problem.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't do that. And then their patients come back 6 weeks later. Well, the pain's back. That is, in my opinion, that is a bad day for me.
Yep.
My patient walks in the door. What's wrong? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? I failed.
Yeah.
Unless you did something stupid and like ripped through something or went, doing something crazy, which can happen.
Yeah.
I failed.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're exactly right. Our patients, and the way that I like to operate, is you're going to come in and we're going to, hand over foot, no matter what, most important thing in the session, I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to listen to everything you have to say. I'm going to look you square in the eye when you say it. I'm not going to be on my computer typing like this. Yeah, I might be typing, but my eyes are right in your face.
Yep.
They are right in your face. I'm listening to what you have to say. I'm touching on the areas of your body that you feel like are a problem. I'm asking to look at the skin. I'm moving you around, and I'm taking a collective insight into who you are and what you have going on. Because as we've already talked about, it is a big mental game. From there, yes, I'm assessing you. I am testing something. I am treating it, and then I'm retesting it. And treating it is my hands deep in that muscle tissue, on those joints, moving them around, rotating and moving you through range of motion, dry needling you, cupping you, scraping you. Say, hey, I struggle with squats. Okay, get on the floor. Let's look at a squat. Let me feel your glutes while you're squatting. Let me touch your back while you're squatting. Hey, cue here. Let me hold you here.
Right.
It is being an active participant in that therapy session, right? And the hard part about it is, and God, I get so damn passionate about this. The fucking hard part about it is I've had those bosses that look at me and say, why would anybody want to see a patient by themselves for an hour? Like, that's boring. I don't want to be with my... Yes. Square in the face. Square in the... I won't drop his name. Square in the face looked at me and goes, I don't want to spend an hour with some of my patients. So when I double or triple, it lets me, kind of builds my excitement. Makes the day go by quicker. I get to bop back and forth. And what are we doing in that, right? What a dozen plus more times 300 patients have had. They see the PT for 5 minutes, do 5 minutes of the world's softest tissue work, and then they ship them off to a PT tech who, no qualms to the tech, no guilt against them, sometimes don't have a degree, sometimes have a bachelor's degree in exercise science, sometimes they're just trying to get into PT school. I was a tech, you were a tech, we've been there. We don't know from Adam what we're looking at. Some do, but most don't. And you're shipping this patient with a post-op ACL, a post-op rotator cuff, TMJ pain, low back pain that they've had for 30 years, and you're just giving them to this person and, hey, watch them do exercises, walk them through it.
Right.
That's fucking cookie cutter.
Yep.
And that is why people don't like to go to physical therapy, because they've been through that again and again and again and again. I had a guy cry one time just because I touched his fucking back. Went to PT for 3 years, mid-back pain, and they never fixed it. They just looked at it, put him on a bike, put him on stem.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this isn't a current patient.
Oh, well,
former. But and they put him on stem. He came in, I put my hands on his back, fixed his problem in 4 sessions, and he cried. He was like, I spent 3 years for you to touch me and fix my problem in 4 visits. That is absurd, and it is ludicrous, and it is what needs to change in our field. And then we need, and I'm sorry, I'm not letting y'all talk. I'm on my soapbox. What we need to do is, and I just had this conversation with my student earlier today, we need to be willing to say, I don't know, when we don't know.
Yes.
Or we need to be willing to say, okay, hey, you've done a great job with me. You have met where you need to be. Let me introduce you to my strength and conditioning coach. Let him take you the rest of the way. Yep. Let him push you so that that person has a team around them to build that healthcare compendium, to be there for them through the life of their injury and the life of their body, instead of just being like, no, I got it all. Oh yeah, your pain's gone and you're 5 out of 5 strength. Bye. No. What? You just spent 9 months developing a relationship with that patient. You're just going to say toodles and never see him again?
Well, I mean, just to go off your point, I mean, I love like when Liz, when she was going, obviously, she's about to have her shoulder surgery and everything. But me and you we did everything we possibly could. And it's not going to get better without that. Right.
Correct.
But it still was at a point where before it got real bad and she had some other issues, she would get like upset. She's like, oh, like I can't go see Jordan anymore. I'm like, are you healthy now? She's like, yeah, but I love going to see him. I'm like, that is what it should be like. You shouldn't he did his job. He treated you. And now he's not trying to hold you back anymore. Like, oh, you still got to come see me twice a week because like we talked about earlier, that's just money. It's just money. It's like when Ruth comes to me, she's like, my foot feels a lot better. Like I was scared to get it needled, but once I got it needled, now my foot doesn't hurt anymore. I'm like, how does it feel to actually be taken care of? Karen, she comes out. I don't know if you saw her. She comes out of the room and just starts sobbing. Yeah. She's like, I didn't think it would ever get better. I'm like, no one just gave you the proper care that you deserved. Yeah. And now I think she started 3 weeks, about a month out, and now she's at the point where she was struggling doing, whether it be like step ups or whatever it is, and now she's like, her pain's better, her grip's better, her elbows are better. She's like, I can actually do harder things. Let's get you on a trap bar. Let's get you actually doing some type of compound to build muscle density, to build all around conditioning, so that now that you have a grandson, you can, I don't know, play with your grandson. You can pick him up, you can carry him, you can hold him because you've gotten better.
Well, and she told me, I mean, the first day I saw her, she writes novels, right? She's an author. She writes, I mean, this woman writes probably 20, 30
way
books
too
a
much.
year.
Way too much.
Yeah. She, all smut. All smut. But this woman, she told me, she's like, I went and saw the doctor, my hands hurt when I type a lot. And the doctor was basically like, it's arthritis, I'm sorry. There's nothing we can do about it. And I sat there and I fiddled on her arm and I was like, this is an arthritis. That moment, I put 1 needle in her elbow. Pain was gone. Yep. 1 needle in her elbow. Barely did too much in there. 1 needle in her elbow. Pain's gone. She'd been dealing with that for 5 years. Yep. She was told, hey, your knees are too bad. You're not going to squat. You need a knee replacement. And now, not even 2 weeks ago? I told Bryer he needs to make it harder. I need more. I need it to be harder. I'm ready. What? Like, you were told you were basically going to be sedentary with a knee replacement and unable to do your life, like your profession. And in a collaborative approach, Bryer and I now have you feeling like you're unstoppable. Like you can do whatever it is that you need to do. And yes, she still needs to get stronger. And yes, she still has a lot of sensitivity and tenderness. Yeah. But not only did we change the mentality, we also changed everything that she was told. And now she feels like she can function as a human being. And that's important, right?
Sorry, I thought I was about to just hawk up a nasty stand.
I was ready for you to have like a big old Yeti sneeze.
I'm going to sum it up here because I think we've talked about some great points.
Do it.
I think kind of what you mentioned, caring, listening, being present and an active participant in their health. That patient needs to know that you care about my health and you're ready to do something about it. That goes into my next point, passionate. Physical therapists who are passionate about what they do, care, are more knowledgeable, and they're going to get to the bottom of the point, which leads to my next piece. Please. God, I can't talk today.
So that's the other one.
Please.
It's not just for it, it's peace.
Peace. The other piece of this, finishing the job. Yes, we can look at pain, and pretty much any therapist can get to some kind of pain. What's going to finish the job and what's going to get them to doing whatever they want without the pain, without the symptoms reoccurring. So those 3 big points right there, if you can find a good physical therapist with those 3, I think.
Well, and to PT shoes, you don't have to double treat, triple treat. I know our job is a little bit different, and we're lucky to have managed to get the job that we have and be surrounded by the people we're surrounded by. But you don't have to be burnt out in your field, right?
No.
And to your patients, they have choices. They have options. Patients always ask us all the time, do I need to stop personal training to do physical therapy? Hell no.
No, you do not.
No.
No, you don't.
Get that every time.
Every single time. Okay, well, I'm going to tell Bryer I'm going to stop doing personal training. No, you're not.
Yeah, no, you're not.
Why?
Why? They're not doing
that. That's wrong.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
I'm sorry, come again? There's no way.
That's like when people come and see me and they're like, if people who have seen either both of us or like, you know, Jordan, me and Kit, and you know who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor, you know, it hurt. My doctor said I shouldn't do it, so I like this better anyway. Well, you do understand that rehabilitation and therapy aren't always going to be pain-free, especially when you're doing things that you have been asked not to do to make it better. If you continuously do the things that you shouldn't be doing while you have 2 people, healthcare professionals, trying to help you get healthier, and you're consistently just 2 steps back, 1, 2 steps back, 1, then you're doing not only us a disservice because we care and we want you to be better. You're making our job harder and you're doing yourself a disservice, right? So it's super important that people understand the, like what Kit was talking about, just the caring and the passion behind it, because we're not there like for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
Like we're there to make you better, to make you healthier, happier, no pain, whatever it is, and you're not letting us do that because you don't care about it.
It is going to hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's going to be uncomfortable.
Yes.
Right?
It's going to be a mental challenge.
It is not going to be 2 times to Bryer or two visits to PT and you're going to get better. You've had pain for 20 years. Yes, me getting rid of your back pain was a really cool flip that switch. And sometimes those things happen. But it's not like I never saw you again. I see you once a week, every week to continue to isolate down and work on things. You come in and ask questions every week. Hey, this is hurting. What can I do here? How do I engage this? Do you feel like this is right? Mm-hmm. It's going to be uncomfortable. Rehab is not a passive treatment. It is not something that you can just sit there, have done to you, feel great, and leave. It is not what it is about. And if you care about your body, you would have taken care of it in the first place. And if you didn't, you've got to suffer some of the consequences of this is going to be uncomfortable. You're going to struggle, but we will take care of you. And we will make sure you get better in the long road and in the end. But you have to be willing to trust us to do our job because, again...
Finish the job.
Right. Because, again... we have the knowledge. We have the know-how. And again, I speak highly of Bryer because he's got the knowledge and he's got the know-how. That doesn't mean don't be critical.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Don't
go to every personal trainer or PT and say, well, they said this is what it's supposed to be like, so I trust you. No. Be critical. Mm-hmm. If your personal trainer's not meeting where you are, don't tell them to go fuck off, but sit down with them and say, hey, I don't feel like this is personalized to me. How can we change it?
Yeah.
Same thing with the PT. Hey, I don't really feel like I'm getting that adequate time. When I was doubled and tripled, because that's what my job required of me, if a patient came to me and said, I want to be treated one-on-one, bet. I'm locking you down one-on-one. Somebody argue with me about it.
Yep.
That's what the patient wants.
Yep.
It's not easy. Rehab is not an easy road. Personal training, strength and conditioning, everything that Bryer has been through, it's not easy. Don't self-limit yourself. Don't make excuses for yourself. Don't, as practitioners, don't let patients make excuses.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And recognize that you're on a journey to develop that journey.
I will continue to go through 10 to 20 minutes of pain if it means that I can live the next 60 years without it.
Yeah. Correct.
That it's point blank period. If I can go in there and get my Corico needled, or I can get my face needled, or I can get the back of my head needled, or my calves scraped, whatever it is, I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it for 10 to 20 minutes. It's going to suck, and I'll bite a rag or do whatever the hell I need to do, but I would rather go through 10 to 20 minutes of that initial pain and then immediately feel better and then just be healthier for 60 years than to just live with it for 60 years. There's no... when people be like, "Oh, it's just too much work," like, so you would physically rather be in pain
than do
the work,
in
do the
order
work, and then live the rest of your life without it.
Correct.
Yeah, I think so. Kick rocks, dude. Kick rocks.
Sorry.
Kick rocks.
You can. I love this phrase. I use it every day in the clinic. I can lead a horse to water. Can't make him drink?
Can't make him drink.
I can give you the best knowledge and the best insight possible. You have to make the decisions to help yourself, and I will motivate you. I will be in your corner. People wonder why my cancellation rate in the clinic is so low, because someone calls me to cancel, and I'm like, "No, you're not.
Yeah.
Get in here. I don't care what you have to do to make it happen. I've got tomorrow. Get in here." Yeah. Well, but Jordan, now, and not a single person has walked in that door and said, "I hate you for making me come. Thank you for keeping me honest. Thank you for pushing me to get in here. Thank you for being that person in my corner to help me get there." And that's the truth of the matter. But what I want to do, we got like 10 minutes left. And Kid, if it's all right with you, I really want Bryer to talk about the things that he feels need to shine in personal training.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Because people are going to hear us talk for forever.
Right.
So I want Bryer to talk about some of the stuff that he feels the most passionate about.
Sure. So, real quick, talking about like the differences between like a PT physical therapist and a PT personal trainer is number one is going to be that education that we talked about. Again, you guys have evolved quite a bit in your field where we have kind of, I don't want to say been stagnant, but been pretty stagnant in what is required of the education. A lot of times, most gyms don't necessarily require that bachelor's degree in exercise science or health and human performance. They just require some sort of board certified exam, whether it be a NASM, an ACE, an NSCA, and even an ISSA, which I have my gripes about ISSA. We can talk about that another time. But that's mainly what personal trainers have. Now, to be a strength and conditioning coach, you have to pass a really, really, really hard certification, and you have to have a bachelor's degree. Some schools, if you want to be a strength coach in the school, require a master's degree in that field as well, right? So not to frown upon, trainers that don't have degrees, because just like I was telling Kid and Jordan before we started, I know people with 2 master's degrees that are idiots, and I know people who have no degrees and are some of the smartest people I've ever met, just because their experience, their practical application is so well, and they've learned from, they don't just, okay, I have this certification, this is where I stop. They continue their education. They might not completely go over cases, but they know they're up to date on new research that's being done. They look at clinical studies that have done. They watch, like I watch podcasts all the time of different doctors in the exercise science field to learn. Because I'm always learning something, whether it's from you guys, whether it's from Dr. Mike Israetel, or whoever it is. But if you're looking to get a personal trainer and you ask them, like, hey, what is your credentials? And they go over and they say, well, I have this certification, but that's it. Not to say there's anything wrong with that, but if they don't have that formal education background, they're missing quite a lot unless they've done the extra research and done their own studying, right? And going through school, you take nutrition, anatomy, biomechanics, physics, personal and strength training classes, group fitness class. Like you learn a lot as you go through school, and unless you have somewhere and something to practically apply it to, if you don't use it, you lose it. That's that part. It's in everywhere, right? If I didn't continue my education and get a mobility certification, I plan on getting a corrective exercise certification. If you don't do that, you're going to fall behind. Our field changes so often. I want to say they average like every 2 to 5 years. There's something new and improved that comes out. If you're not caught up with that, you're going to do your clients a disservice because you don't know the scientific research behind why things work and why they don't work, right? So, just for me, like I have a bachelor's of science as a health and fitness specialist with a concentration in strength and conditioning and sports performance. Okay. I started in a strength gym coaching nothing but athletes, and then I moved over to the Gen Pop. And I 110% believe training athletes first made training general population 1,000 times easier. Because when I'm coaching athletes, I'm looking at everything. If we're working on 40-yard dashes, okay, how's your level when you get off? How's your hip flexion? How's your knee drive? Okay, are you planning with the ball of your foot? Is your heel striking? Is your Achilles actually projecting you forward like it should? No. Okay, well, we got to do this, and this to fix that. Okay, and then moving to a more general population. Oh, I just want to get stronger. Cool. All right, cool. I can come up with that in 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, right? But at the same time, that experience that I had before has carried over quite a bit. And because of that experience, I can take my clients to a whole new level, not only with getting stronger, but nutrition, lifestyle, and more importantly, mentality. Because some people, like I see general population people who have played sports and they like that intensity that I can bring to them. And I have people who have never played sports, never touched a gym, and they don't necessarily like that strength coach vibe. So you learn to just pull it back and be like, hey, how's your day? Instead of like, I'll see one dude be like, all right, dude, let's get to it. Like, you know exactly where we're going, go. And you said that before, like when I have someone come in, they just know.
Yeah.
They just know where to go. And then I have people like, you know, Karen, hey, Karen, how you doing? You having a good day today? She doesn't want that intensity behind it. But it's just about, if you find a trainer that doesn't know that difference on both sides of it, and they're just dull or they're just super intense all the time, they don't know how to pull it back.
Detach. And
that might play a part in your training or your results that you find. If you're going to a trainer and like you said, hey, I like, you know, this isn't necessarily working. I'm not seeing a lot of changes. What can we do? If he or she is not willing to sit you down and be like, okay, this is where we're at. Let's change, you know, whether it's calories or a strength program, whatever. If they're not going to sit and be like, okay, this is where we're at. This is my idea. Let's try it for a week, 2 weeks, see if this works. If it doesn't, we'll find another approach. We'll find something that will help you along the way. If you find someone that is like, oh, well, this is what we're going to keep doing until it works, that's not how it works.
I once had a mentor that, and I show this to patients all the time, where he said, every 3 to 4 visits, you should be seeing at least a 20 to 30% improvement in your patient.
Yes.
Now, that's with everybody operating at the same pace, with all the same gears, patients doing their part, PTs doing their part, personal trainers doing their part. But if you're, and it's small wins too, right? It's and that's on us, right? That's on Bryer saying, hey, remember last time? I know you still can't lift the bar, but last time you couldn't even get off the ground.
Yeah.
Now you can. That's a small win. Hey, that first day you came in, you struggled to turn over onto your side on the table. Now you're rip rolling all around the table. Even though your pain's not gone, that's a win.
That's a win.
And it's those small wins, and seeing that percentage, that shows you care.
Yeah.
That shows you're paying attention to your patient, and that takes them leaps and bounds farther.
And I love bringing up Karen because, again, like she come with this issue, that issue, everything under the sun. And we're doing step-ups the other day. I've increased her weight and made her go a lot faster because she can do that now. And the first set, she was looking down. She was still, you know, a little anxious about, is she going to lose her balance and this and that. And then second, I didn't say anything to her. Second set, her head naturally just, and she's looking straight like at my shirt. And I said, hey, Karen, did you know anything different about what you did that set? She was like, well, no, I didn't. I said, you didn't look down one time. And she like sat there and thought, she was like, you're right, I didn't. And you could see the excitement. I'm like, that's progress. Your stabilization, your balance, your proprioception is getting so much better that you don't have to stare at the floor to worry if you're going to fall.
Correct.
You have more confidence in yourself, and you're right. Small wins lead to huge victories because they see one thing and like, oh, it is possible, and then you say, hey, did you notice this? Oh, I am getting better, and then they get excited and they get addicted to that ability to, this can change. But again, like we've talked about, when it comes to cookie cutter physical therapists or cookie cutter PTs, they're everywhere. I'm the lead trainer at the gym. I've had some employed there that I can't, like, it got everything in me, seeing, like, having people putting a bar on their back and squatting. I'm like, what are you doing? That dude is going quarter depth with his heels up in the air, and you're not cueing it. You're not even attempting to change it. You're just going to.
Because they do exactly what some bad PTs do. They talk. And they sit there and they talk to you and they become your buddy and they become your friend, and they sit there and they're so wrapped up in conversation, so wrapped up in being your friend, they've lost sight of their job. And now, and some of it may be a gap in knowledge, right? I don't like to say they're stupid, but it's a gap in knowledge. And they literally forget that, oh, I'm supposed to be cueing you. Yeah, I'm supposed to be helping you.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be making sure you do exactly the way you need to do it, because instead we're talking about, you know, my ex so-and-so over the weekend and how they sent me a text and now I'm pissed off, right? And so
I got a small point to kind of play devil's advocate with that. There are certain patients that need a little bit more mental growth.
That's fine.
And so you might let them get away with things a little bit more.
Perfectly fine. You don't overcue.
I agree. I
they're very. I have several patients on my schedule that need that, and so, you know, it goes back to caring about the patient, right? Understanding that, you know, their care may take longer than some, depending on their, you know, mental adjustments that they got to make in order to make the growth.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's those little wins that are going to make the difference. You know?
Passion plays off, right?
It does.
It's contagious.
Yes.
You know, our patients, Brier's patients, like when they see our passion, then it makes them. I mean, how many times we had people in the gym and they correct themselves?
Yes.
And they're like, "Oh wait, that didn't look like how you did it. I need to move my knee more." And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh
Good.
yeah, I mean, I wasn't gonna overcue you on that, but that's great.
Good.
Like, go for it. That's amazing."
Internal feedback we're getting after they've done it, after they've got a lot of the external feedback that we've given them. They're like, "Oh wait, I didn't do that right."
Passion is contagious. Passion makes passion.
So what I was going to ask you is, since you kind of went through this and other patients have gone through and other clients have gone through, what made you keep going? What was your feedback, stuff that you've gotten from other people, from yourself, stuff like that, just to kind of give listeners like an idea, like, hey, what else?
I would probably say I've always had a passion for just exercise in general, even though I was bigger. I played sports throughout my whole life, and I knew that I always wanted to do something in the exercise science field. First I started with athletic training, and then I was actually going to go into massage therapy, and then I transferred. I was like, I want to do exercise science, right? And, you know, I won't even lie to you. I did get burnt out at the very beginning of my career, working in that strength gym, and then going to coach at a high school. I was very burnt out to a point. And then I actually had a client at Fit for Life early last year, and he had fallen off of a ladder, had completely destroyed himself from the hip down. They told him you would never walk without the little arm crutches again. You know, you'll never be able to, like, be pretty much, what's the word?
Functional,
basically. He spent a year and a half in the hospital doing jack shit. And I'll never forget it. I remember I had him on a Wednesday, and it was a Tuesday night, and I was like, dude, what? I was like, what can I do for this guy? And I was sitting there, I was like, he doesn't have leg strength. I was like, he doesn't have leg strength. And then I was like, okay, we're going to start with isometrics. Just as hard as you can do. It's not going to be much, but as hard as you can push these isometrics, we're going to work on balance, stability, walking. We're going to put a damn obstacle course in front of you to help you correct your balance if you overstep, so that you're not scared on your own to walk out. And I'll never forget, we were on I don't know if it was a back machine or a press machine, whatever it was, but we were on the row machine in the middle of the gym, and I took his crutches from him. And I said, all right, Kevin, let's walk. And he just kind of got up and he real careful, you know, 1 foot at a time. And then he realized, he was like, holy shit, I can actually walk again. Mm-hmm. And then he started walking again. And I remember he just looked at me, and, you know, he voice cracked a little bit. He just said, thank you. And I remember going to the riser room, and I just cried. Yeah. And I think that part right there was what made me fall in love with it all over again. Yeah. But also what it's done for me is probably another thing too. And what it's doing for my mom. I mean, it's, again, I know how difficult she is to deal with, but I love her to death. And, you know, she's starting to see why a mixture between personal training and physical therapy is crucial.
Well, she came in day one and she was like, I'm just a hot mess. I'm just broken head to toe. And we've seen the weight loss. We've seen the tone in her muscles. We've seen that drive and that energy. I mean, this is a woman where we could barely get her in the clinic in the gym. And now she's showing up on her own to work out on her own when she doesn't even see me and you. And that drive and that push and that motivation is exactly why we all do what we do. Because what's beautiful about who we are, and who hopefully a lot of people who are similar to us are, is we see the potential in people. We see it. And that's why we get so passionate about this. And that's what I tell patients is, I see your potential. I want to help you get there. And if you get there, holy shit, is it going to be amazing. But if you waste it, I'm devastated, because I know what you had inside of you, and I watched you waste it.
And I'm gonna talk about her, and I hope she watches it. Nancy.
Oh,
Nancy, you are one of the strongest women I have ever seen.
Ever. Back muscles for days.
Dude. And I wish that she would just understand that. Like, how much potential she actually has. But she's so quick to be like, I'm not that strong.
She beats herself.
I can't. I've seen you squat. I've seen you hip thrust. I've seen you lift weights. You were doing 40s on dumbbell incline, 1 in each arm. I'm strong.
I gave her a workout that I used to give NBA athletes. and hockey, like professional hockey players, and she was crushing it. People that were coming to the clinic were like, "Oh my god, I want to be like her," but she needs me, you, and Kit in her corner because she self limits.
Mm-hmm.
She literally will look at us and be like, "Jordan, I'm not that good at that. Jordan, I'm terrible at this." And she's got her world, and her world can be tough sometimes. But it's very much like oh well, I just can't do that. There's no way. Like I will show her an exercise, and before she even tries it, I can't do that.
Yep.
What do you mean you didn't even try?
Mm-hmm.
What do you know? But again, she and herself has made tremendous strides just because she has people in her corner that are sitting there saying, "Hey, shut up.
Yeah, you're
You
better.
can do this.
You're better than that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Quit demoralizing yourself and do this."
Yeah.
And that, honestly, is what a lot of people need.
I mean, one of my biggest notes in here, and it's under the how both sides of PTs can work together. Even though there's some pretty big differences between what we do, again, you guys help with getting people better, reducing pain, completely eliminating pain, bringing them in for treatment and helping them understand that there is a way out of the pain. Whereas, I help with like the strength and conditioning side of things, the mobility. Again, you guys do a lot of mobility, flexibility stuff too. The strength aspect, the conditioning, the nutrition, that's a lot of what I do. But the biggest thing is, like, at the end of the day, all we want to do is just help.
Yeah.
That part.
I mean, that's all we want to do. And if you guys don't let us help, then we can't. And until people start to realize that neither personal trainers or physical therapists are the enemy, and they actually like commit to that plan of like, hey, this is going to suck, but I'm going to do it anyway because this 6 months of suck is going to be better than 60 years of it.
Correct. The right personal trainer.
Yeah.
The right physical
Yeah.
therapist. Be critical of your healthcare.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with asking questions.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with that.
You're critical
In
of
fact,
the food you eat.
Encouraged, and it
Yes.
needs to be done.
Yes, if you have questions, ask.
Challenge us.
Yeah.
That the patient needs to be a participant in their healthcare, otherwise they're not going to get better.
Yeah.
They got to be able to ask questions and learn, why is this happening? Why should I be doing this exercise? Why should I be here at all? Why is this so important?
And they think I have a problem with it. I love it. Let me drop this knowledge bomb real quick.
Yeah.
And then my favorite thing is, okay, I'm going to go home and research that. Yes.
Yeah.
Do that.
Mm-hmm.
Go home and research that shit and open up your world of knowledge.
Yes.
Right? Healthcare sits on a spectrum. And I'm going to drop this and we're going to tie things up. But healthcare sits on a spectrum from strength and conditioning and personal training to physical therapy to MDs to chiropractors to everybody's on the same spectrum. People ask us all the time, so I got to do this for the rest of my life? Yes.
Yeah, dude.
You should be somewhere on this spectrum for the rest of your life. Because why are you not taking care of your body? Why is that even a thought? Oh, I have to exercise every day for the rest of my life? That's like asking, oh, I need to eat every day for the rest of my life? Duh. You got it. What do you expect? And that part, being critical, finding those people and building your team, building your cohort and your spectrum, and then inviting others to your cohort and your spectrum is how we make a difference in the world. So, personally, I think we could go on and on about this more. I know Brier's got a ton to say, but I want to, kind of wrap it up. I think the biggest things here, you got two guys drinking bourbon with a Yeti, and Bryer, your podcast, your short, everything that you do is Iron
Anvil Performance.
Iron Anvil Performance, which again will be linked here. But the biggest things here: be critical of your healthcare.
Yep.
Understand that this is a journey. And the right people are going to help you get there. Understand that you do need to commit to personal changes, to lifestyle changes, and the only person that's going to stop you is you. So make that decision, make that choice. Find the people who are in your corner. Find the people who motivate you.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard.
Nothing worthwhile is ever easy.
But at the end of the day, you got to accept that and be like, if I want to get better and I want to be better, I just got to do it.
Yeah.
I have to admit to it.
Doesn't mean you have to hate it.
Yeah.
There are ways to make those hard things
absolutely
fun and enjoyable.
If you can't figure that out, find the people who show you that.
Yes.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Oh, great. I think this is a fantastic episode. I'm really thrilled with everything. I think next week or the next episode, we're going to try to maybe incorporate some nutrition.
Yeah.
Bryer wants to come back. We'll let him come back.
Okay.
That'd be a great episode for him because I know you two will get on some nutrition talks for hours.
Yeah. I mean,
We're going to have to time that shit down.
We can talk about all the food.
We'll definitely have you back on.
Yeah, we can talk.
It's safe to say. I mean, we'd be here for hours, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many patients that we touch and make sure that we improve their lives together as a team, and couldn't do it without you.
No,
absolutely.
And yeah, same. I mean, obviously, I've gone through a lot of changes in the past 2 years, but one of the biggest changes is being able to not only criticize other people in a professional way, but also be criticized in a professional way. So, and just like we're talking about, when you challenge your healthcare provider or whatever it is, they should also be challenging each other to a certain point. Like if I say something wrong, you guys correct me on it. If you guys do something wrong when we're in a session, like when I'm training you guys, I correct it.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with like having two people that are taking care of you also talking and correcting each other. Like, oh, well, I saw this, so I think you should do this instead. Cool. If that's going to make them better.
Yeah, and it's not demoralizing.
No.
Critique. I don't look at you and go, Bryer, you're an idiot.
Yeah. No.
You go, hey, it's the Terry's, this, and this. I'm like, you know what? No, I think it's this.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me double check.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Yeah.
We're on the same page, right? So, and again, our clinic would not be anywhere close to the way it is without Bryer.
Not
That's hand over foot,
No.
right? Because Bryer drops people off at our door and says, hey guys, you need to be here. And we make that same you're going to go see somebody, let's go talk to Bryer.
Right.
If you don't think Bryer's a good fit, he will find you the personal trainer, the strength and conditioning coach that is.
Yep.
And so, all in all, find the people in your corner.
Yep.
Find the team.
Yep.
So, cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Great episode.
Already finished.
Sweet.